Hey, this is Sam Stone here at South by Southwest 2024 with the cast and director/writer of the upcoming thriller Desert Road. All thanks for taking the time to sit down and speak with us.
Good to be here.
You're welcome.
This is a cool set.
Thank you, Shannon.
I know.
Like any good story, let's start at the beginning. Like, where did the idea for this, like, kind of like stranded in the middle of the desert where everything just gets progressively wrong as the sun goes down story come about?
Yeah. What a great question. I really love road trips, and I love the desert. I meander out there all the time. And the desert is kind of an odd place. I know Max has done a few road trips out there too.
Desert's interesting, to say the least.
And yeah, I think just from lots of those trips, there's just been little tidbits here and there. But one time my boyfriend was running this like 18-mile, as you do. And he kind of like crashed and was like, hey, can you come pick me up? And you're in the desert. There's not like street signs of where to find him, and nightfall was kind of happening. And it was just like, oh, this went from a really nice day to suddenly everything's wrong. And this isn't based on that, but I think it's just a good example of why the desert's a great setting for a story for somebody on their own. So, yeah.
And speaking of that solitude, Christine, like, your character, of course, has a horrible, no good, very bad day very quickly throughout this movie. Like, how was it, like, doing so much of the heavy lifting and carrying so much of the movie, like, almost in just about every shot of this film?
She is going through it. I mean, we meet her at a time where she's already, really doubting herself. She's giving up her dream of being a photographer. So it's already starting down here, and then it just keeps going under the ground, basically. But really, it comes to Shannon's writing, it's all there. I just, showed up and focused on each scene along the way and took it step by step. And then I got to work with these guys, and they're such generous actors, They keep you present. They keep you, because I'm not that good of a technical actor, so I really like to rely on my scene partners, So that was a good challenge, trying that out.
Well, you came with a lot of ideas, and you always surprised me. I feel like every take was different. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, Max, you appear in quite a bit of the movie as well, and there's always the perception there's something just a bit off center.
Right. No, for sure.
Sure. Maybe I'm putting it mildly.
Yeah.
Like, how was it kind of like playing with those colors and kind of finding that sweet spot in doing that?
Right, yeah. I mean, I think it's, just trying to find what is truthful and honest about being isolated and in the desert alone all the time. And I think, he's sort of fantasizing about people coming in this isolated gas station, so that when she comes in, it's almost like his social muscle is like full of adrenaline. And he's like, oh my God, I gotta like impress her. I gotta make her laugh. And so I think that's why it can come off as strange and weird, to say the least. But I think he's just trying to make her interested in her. And so, yeah, that's what is driving him, I think. Yeah.
Francis, Beau, you've done quite a number of movies that are filmed out in the exteriors. And I mean, Francis, you're in Unforgiven. One of the greatest Westerns, if not the greatest Western of all time. And I find when you're working with exteriors that are that sweeping, you're not a portrait artist, you're a landscape artist. How is it playing to that landscape in your performances?
Well, the desert is definitely a different kind of landscape than we had in Unforgiven. And it has a lot of personality. And then something does happen when the sun goes down. It goes from sweltering hot, impossible heat to breathe to ice cold. And it changes you.
Beau, how about you? I mean, I've been watching your work ever since, like, The Wizard. This is a far cry from The Wizard. Like, how is it kind of finding the nuances of your character?
Yeah, I really responded to this guy. I think we all have times in our life when we feel something strong pulling us to somebody in a relationship, and maybe we pull back, and then years later we regret having done that. And in this story, we have a chance to return and maybe have a second chance at meeting somebody and it was in the past. It's sort of dreamlike because, I can dream sometimes about people that I've known years ago that I haven't seen and think about them. What happened to them? Where are they? And there's this story has parallel universe aspects to it. That's why it's hard to talk about, because it's really magical. And it's a psychological thriller, I think, is what it is.
Absolutely. I mean, in talking about it being a thriller, Shannon, how was it finding the pace? Because once things get going, there's no taking that foot off the pedal. Like, how did you find the pace to let the story unfold?
Yeah, before we went out to the desert to shoot, I had a meeting with our editor, Joseph Kirkland, and we were talking about kind of the editor's cut and what did I want out of that. And I said the pace. Like, sometimes you get an editor's cut and it's like 3 hours long, and I was like, the pace of the story is so important to how it unfolds. Like, give it your best crack. Like, don't be, perfect about having every line of dialogue or any, worry about the structure of the story. And he's an amazing editor. So, like, when I walked in to see his sort of editor's cut, it was like, oh yeah, he's done all of the heavy lifting. And from there, I don't know, it feels a little bit like a comedy where it was just the timing of the cuts and what do you have in and what do you take out. And so it's like if we got it so far and then that last 10% is just trial and error, where you just have to try things and then you watch it as a whole and go, oh, we got that wrong today. Let's try again tomorrow. Because like you said, it's a balance, and it matters so much for this story of how everything starts to unravel. So yeah, Joseph Kirkland, that's how you get the pace.
Shannon, what I love about this is that you capture both sides of the desert. You capture the majesty and the sweeping, all-encompassing nature, but also the desert as an adversary. Like, how was it kind of like depicting both sides? Because the desert itself is a character in this.
It really comes down to the characters that we're following. When we had my first conversation with Susan Scheel, our casting director, I was like, if we could only win one award, I want us to win Best Ensemble. Like, the cast really, really matters for this film. And so a lot of taking us through of, oh, the desert isn't worrisome, or it is kind of how they all react to that daytime or nighttime. So yeah, for both of those, and the emotional journey and how we respond as an audience to it is hire really great actors. It's like a wonderful, wonderful solution.
Oh, there's the secret sauce right there to a good movie. This is Sam Stone with the cast and director and writer of Desert Road. Guys, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing us in.